Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Karen Doyle and I'm Operations Director of CTAM Europe, and I'm here to welcome you and to introduce today's presenter, who you can see there on screen, ready to present his facts and figures. Simon Murray is Principal Analyst at Digital TV Research based in London. They publish over 25 reports a year. Forecasts and analysis in these reports cover more than 130 countries. Today's webinar is scheduled for around 20 minutes and the topic is European SVODs forecasts. If you have any questions, please submit them using the Q&A button and Simon will answer them at the end of the session. We do enjoy a good Q&A session, so please fire away. Today's recording will be available on the members only section of ctameurope.com alongside all the past webinars and podcasts from CTAM Europe and CTAM US. So I will now hand you over to Simon. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen, and hello everyone. As Karen said, my presentation today covers European SVOD forecasts. There are going to be a lot of numbers, I'm afraid. Having said that, it will be mercifully short at about 13 minutes, so you won't suffer for too long. Okay, we've just updated our forecasts based on the June results from some of the big players. These are our revenue projection growths for Europe for the next 5 years, and we expect SVOD revenues to increase by $13 billion between 2019 and 2025, taking the total to $22 billion. The forecasts cover 40 countries, 22 in Eastern Europe, 18 in Western Europe. But as you can see from the chart here, Eastern Europe lags a long way behind Western Europe in terms of revenue generation. So why is SVOD growth much slower in Eastern Europe than in Western Europe, or indeed a lot of other regions around the world? One of the main reasons is wariness of several governments to allow foreign media to play too big a part in their proceedings, in their media world. This is particularly true of Russia, for example. And just to give you an idea of how important Russia is in Eastern Europe, it commands about half of the population for the whole territory. Another reason for take-up is there aren't that many large countries in Eastern Europe apart from Russia, Ukraine and Poland. So the other countries don't really have the economies of scale as far as production is concerned, as far as business is concerned, that many other countries do have in the Western world. In fact, in Eastern Europe, there's no common linguistic skills that people can use. Romanian and Hungarian are a lot different languages than the other languages in the region, and even the Slavic languages, it's not necessarily guaranteed that anyone speaking a Slavic language can easily understand another person from another country speaking a Slavic language. So they don't have what's happened in Latin America with Spanish, for example, where you can produce a program or some content that will appeal to the whole of the region. Now, in Eastern Europe, many mobile, pay TV and broadband operators provide their SVOD platforms for free. So that deters people from paying for platforms. It diminishes their value, if you like, because they know that they can get free services from their other providers, from their broadband providers. And of course, many Eastern European countries have declining populations due to emigration and low birth rates. So returning to
Simon,
yes.
Simon, I'm sorry to jump in. Just before you start this slide, your audio is going a little bit in and out at the moment.
Oh, I'm wearing a headset. That's a bit strange. Okay. Just checking all the connections. Hopefully, everyone can hear me. I will put up the volume. Is that any better, Karen?
Yes, much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, okay. All right, okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, returning to the figures for all 40 countries in Europe. The UK is the market leader as far as revenues are concerned, and will remain the market leader as far as revenues are concerned. However, its share of the market will fall in time, as you can see from this chart. Germany and France and even Italy are showing impressive growth rates. So as I mentioned before, the additional revenues for SVOD in Europe will be $13 billion. The UK, Germany and France will provide at least 2 billion each to that total additions there. And just returning quickly to Eastern Europe, Poland is the Eastern European market leader in terms of revenues at $743 million predicted by 2025, but that only ranks it as number 8 in Europe. By way of comparison, Russia will generate $599 million. Okay, now this is a count of the subscriptions by a country, and just to refer to one of the points I made earlier, these are people paying for subscriptions, okay? So we have excluded people getting it for free, various services for free, so that hits the Eastern European countries quite a lot. However, all countries will experience considerable growth. The number of subscriptions will reach 217 million by 2025, and that's up from only 100 million at the end of 2019. The UK, again, will be the market leader here by adding nearly 20 million subscribers. However, as you can see from the chart, Germany will be fast catching up with the UK with nearly 40 million subscriptions. And just to point out Italy again, after a slow start, Italy is expected to pick up in the next few years, adding 15 million subscribers. Again, just as a point of comparison with the Eastern European countries, Russia and Poland will have 9 million subscribers each by 2025, paying subscriptions. So these are gross subscriptions we're talking about at the moment. A subscriber, an SVOD subscriber, can have more than one subscription. And as you can see from this chart, penetration rates vary considerably from one country to the next, and growth rates vary considerably from one country to the next. Just to give you an overall picture, by 2025, we think that the rate in Western Europe will be 108%, but it will only be 21% in Eastern Europe. On a platform-by-platform basis, and we all know there's been a lot going on here in recent weeks and months, things are going to look very interesting. Now, Netflix, the highest established, the longest established, I should say, platform, will add $4.7 billion between 2019 and 2025. Remember, this is out of a total of $13 billion to be added. Most of the newer competitors to Netflix are cheaper than Netflix. So this raises questions about whether Netflix will raise prices as easily as it has done in the past. Disney Plus, we expect Disney Plus to add a staggering $3.9 billion by between 2019 and 2025. Not as much as Netflix, but still very impressive. So together, Netflix and Disney will account for 60% of European SVOD revenues by 2025. And now we have included a provision for other services that haven't even started yet, such as Disney's sister company Hulu, Peacock from NBC Universal, and Paramount Plus from Viacom. Okay, just getting back to subscription numbers again. 5 global players will account for 3/4 of European subscriptions, I should say, by 2025. What we've seen in the last couple of years is the fact that local players have become much more wary about launching their own platforms. In fact, several have folded their own platforms. It's easier for them to partner with one of these major players, which have a lot of international clout and give the operator quite a lot of kudos, rather than going it alone. The operator's going it alone and spending a lot of money on it for an untried service. Netflix will add 30 million subscribers during this period. It will remain the market leader, but it'll only take 35% of the total by 2025, rather than the 46% it took in 2019. A lot of Netflix's loss of market share is down to the growth of Disney Plus. Disney Plus started in Europe, in the Netherlands, in November 2019. It is available in nearly every Western European country now. It's expected to launch in Eastern Europe next year. So it's still in startup mode in a lot of countries. HBO is quite an interesting example. I mean, I stressed earlier that these are all for paid subscriptions. HBO is obviously established in a lot of European countries, Eastern Europe, the Nordic countries, Spain and Portugal. It may think twice about launching other countries. For example, it has a long-term exclusive deal with Sky in 5 countries across Europe, with OCS in France, Ziggo in the Netherlands, Amediateca in Russia. So what HBO or Warner Media has to weigh up is it willing to break these exclusive partnerships or not continue these exclusive partnerships, the risk of launching an untested and untried standalone platform. It could theoretically start its own platform with one of these partners, but there have been no reports of that yet. So Netflix and Disney Plus will be the biggest players by 2025. They will be available in all 40 of the countries that we cover. But as you can see from this chart, most of their subscribers will be concentrated in the big 5 Western European countries. We're expecting Disney Plus to have a considerable success. Its brand is known worldwide, and parents consider its content safe. It's also fairly cheap. So it appeals to a younger audience who will watch the same content many times. So this puts less pressure on Disney to refresh its content. Adults tend to want to watch new content more often than perhaps younger audiences do. So Disney Plus is going to do very well. Now, the thing about Disney Plus, though, that holds it back in some ways is the fact that it does only appeal to family audiences or families with younger children's audiences. So there's a gap there for the adult market, for example, which I think Disney is hoping to fill by launching Hulu in internationally on top of its US launch. And just Disney has enjoyed some success in the US by bundling Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN into one SVOD package. So it's gained quite a few subscribers that way. Okay, so Netflix is the market leader, as I said. This shows how varied its penetration is across Europe. A quarter of European TV households will subscribe to Netflix by 2025. That's up from 16% in 2019. In Western Europe, the 25% figure was already reached by the end of 2019, and we expect the proportion to rise to 39% of Western European households will have Netflix by 2025. By comparison, Eastern Europe, the proportion was only 2.6% in 2019, but it will climb to 6.2% by 2025. Okay, here are two of the other international players who have a different approach than Netflix and Disney Plus on the whole process of SVOD. The owners of Amazon Prime Video and Apple TV Plus see their SVOD platforms as a way of enhancing their other products. So the SVOD platforms are not profit centers as such. And that can have an impact in the future when the parents show their commitment to these platforms, especially when it comes to increasing content budgets. If they're not profitable in their own rights, then how much are the parents willing to increase the content budgets for these two players? I mean, Amazon Prime members receive Amazon Prime Video for free as part of their service. So Amazon sees Amazon Prime Video as a way of enhancing Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is available in 9 European countries, priced at a very similar rate to Amazon Prime Video. So there's no real incentive for people to buy Prime Video on its own. So we think most of Amazon's Prime Video subscribers will be in Amazon Prime countries. In fact, only 1.5 million subscribers will be outside the Amazon Prime countries across 31 countries by 2025. Moving over to Apple TV Plus, this is available for free to purchasers of top tier Apple products for a year after they've bought that product. So it'll be interesting to see what the renewal rates are going to be like for Apple TV Plus after that year's free subscription has expired, because the original programming on Apple TV Plus is fairly limited. We forecast 4.4 million paying subscribers to Apple TV Plus by 2025. So it's not huge, but it obviously has value to Apple in the bigger picture. Okay, this is just to clarify the difference between gross SVOD subscriptions and net SVOD subscribers. A subscriber can have more than one subscription. In fact, you'll see from the chart, we expect the average subscriber to have more than 2 subscriptions by 2025. By the end of 2019, the figure was only 1.5 subscriptions. So it is growing. So the gross number of subscriptions is growing no faster than the net number of subscribers. Subscribers will be taking on more subscriptions. COVID obviously has played a part in enhancing the SVOD platform's appeal in the last few months. Okay, and just to reiterate what we showed before, there is quite a difference in take-up of SVOD subscriptions by country. And there will be a difference in the growth rates as well. So out of the many differences, you'll see that the Western European average by 2025, we have it down as 2.9 subscriptions per SVOD subscriber. And Eastern Europe, it'll only be 1.83, but not as big a difference as some of the other things. So basically, the number of homes actually subscribing to one service is lower in Eastern Europe. Okay, so we're anticipating 106 million paying subscribers by 2025, and that's up from 64 million in 2019. Western Europe will triple its total from 27 million in 2019 to 91 million by 2025. As you can see from the chart, Germany is fast catching up with the UK. This is the number of people who take at least one subscription. Eastern Europe will only double from 7.3 million at the end of 2019 to 14.5 million at the end of 2025. And again, this is the net penetration of SVOD by TV households. The average for Western Europe in 2025 will be 51.9%. So as you can see from the chart, France, Germany, and Italy will all fall below the Western European average, although all three of those countries are growing quite quickly. The Eastern European average was only 11.6%. So that's a quick bombardment of numbers for you. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and if anyone has any questions, then please feel free to fire away. I left my email address at the end of the presentation, simon@digitaltvresearch.com. So I can't see any questions at the moment. Oh, here we go. Here's a question. Would you suggest SVOD players or content owners target European countries with either strong GDP or economies or good cable or broadband penetration? That's a good question. Yeah, I think that is happening to a certain extent. Apple TV Plus, for example, hasn't launched in some countries. It's fairly selective. Disney's been fairly selective about where it launches first. And I think with the players that I mentioned that haven't launched in Europe yet, Hulu, Peacock, and Paramount Plus, I think we're going to see even more of that. As for regards to broadband connections, broadband penetrations, essential, absolutely essential that that there is a good, decent broadband penetration for these services to work. And in fact, what we're seeing in some emerging markets is how important mobile broadband is. Netflix, for example, is offering Indian subscribers and some other subscribers to its services a cheaper mobile-only service. So only the mobile subscriber can watch what's on their mobile phone. And this has been copied in Africa. Netflix has done this in South Africa, Nigeria, and also Egypt, I think. Showmax, which is a very big player in Africa, owned by MultiChoice, has done the same sort of thing, offering mobile-only services. And I read today that Canal Plus and Iroko are doing the same thing as well. And another interesting question, how do you see consolidation of platforms in the same time frame? It's a very good question. I don't think all of the people who have launched will survive in the long run. I think there will be some mergers, face-saving mergers for some of them, and we have actually also already seen quite a few platforms folding, unfortunately. But I think there will be more. I think, especially with the newer platforms, I think they're more likely to join forces with other players. The other thing is local content as well. A lot of these platforms realise how important local content is, so they will be forming partnerships with the free-to-air broadcasters in the major markets. Okay, somebody's asked me about the very specific question about the Amazon numbers in Germany, 12 million. Yes, it's not, there are more than 12 million Amazon Prime subscribers in Germany. I'll just explain how we arrived to our Amazon Prime Video subscriber numbers. We assume that 70% of the Prime subscribers watch video. And then out of that 70%, we have generously allocated half the Amazon Prime fee to Amazon Prime Video. So that's how we arrive at our figures. So yeah, if you divide the 12 million by 70%, you'll get the total number of Prime homes in Germany. Another specific question, do we include Now TV in our stats? Yes, we do.
Simon, I'll just jump in.
Yep. Yeah, okay.
I have got a question here on the chat button. As Europeans subscribe to more SVOD services, do they maintain, increase or decrease their cable subscription?
Okay, Yeah, very good question. And probably my pay TV operators, mobile operators, keen to form partnerships with these. It wasn't so long ago that considered enemies. So they do add a lot of kudos to the services. We've seen very recently, in fact today I think it is, Disney pulling its pay TV channels from pay TV and relying just on pay TV on Disney Plus to promote the content that used to be on these channels. So I think the pay TV operators see SVOD now as a way of enhancing their offer, and I think that might mean that people want to pay less for some of the other linear programming that's available. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as the States by any means. I'm not expecting a massive fall off, a massive increase in cord cutting across Europe. I'm not going to say it's a buoyant market, but it's not going to be as bad as the States, because one of the reasons why cord cutting, or several of the reasons why cord cutting is such a big thing in the States, is because fees are very high to start off with. There's been a history of a poor relationship between the consumer and some of the operators. One of the reasons why the fees are considered high is because the carriage fees are high, and programmers insist on a stable of their channels being carried. And of course, another reason why cord cutting's so great in the States is because of the sheer number of platforms available in the States. No other country in the world will see anything like the number of platforms available. And just referring back to the question of consolidation of platforms, I think there'll be consolidation of platforms in the States. But again, I still think there's going to be quite a good selection of, or a greater selection of platforms available in the States than anywhere else. And some of the big players are involved in these platforms as well, so they're not small by any means.
Excellent. And then one more, last one. You should. Where is it? Lockdown. Oh, do you think that lockdown favoured SVOD or AVOD players?
Well, I think it probably favoured SVOD players more. Disney was very fortunate because it launched in several European countries when SVOD kicked off, and so I think that when lockdown kicked off, and I think that probably helped its initial uptake in a lot of those countries. I think the AVOD market is less developed than the SVOD market in several countries. I think also the advertising market was hit for across the board, across all media. Maybe not as much on the AVOD side of things, but still hit because people couldn't go on holiday, couldn't buy things, couldn't go out, and so advertising was less effective in a way.
Yeah, true. Well, thank you, Simon. It was really good. We really appreciate your time to put together the presentation. There was some problems with the audio, so I do apologise to everybody. Hopefully you could understand it well enough to enjoy it, and the fabulous slides anyway will have been helpful. If you've got any questions, if you did miss anything, if you have any more questions, you can email, what's your email address, Simon, again? Simon
at digitaltvresearch.com.
Okay, or info@ctameurope.com. And if you need to view the presentation again and are a member, this will be uploaded on the members only section of ctameurope.com, which is where you'll find all the past webinars and podcasts from CTAM Europe and CTAM US. So thank you, Simon. It was great. Keep safe, everyone, and wish you a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.